there a different Wi-Fi here? No?
No?
It's still public Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Should be true.
I don't know why it keeps calling Office 365. Somehow that other one, it blocks to be able to go out on
What's blocking it?
yeah. So, which, because it's probably because the public Wi-Fi is a lot of people.
Have you always got it?
I did, and then in the last meeting, this Outlook thing started popping up. So I'm like,
Maybe something changed. I need to turn.
I'm gonna give you-
There's a private one. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm running it through my phone, so I'm gonna
Oh.
go. David said he's got review.
He's in the hospital.
Huh?
He's in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Potassium levels are missing. His potassium level is way too high.
How do you account for that?
This is diabetes.
Your attendee ID.
And what were the symptoms of that?
I don't know what the symptoms are. The doctor told him to get to the hospital because he's blood tests. I think tiredness.
He's in type 1, isn't he?
I think so.
Is that a thing now, too?
What's that?
What do you know? I didn't hear you.
Okay, I got set up. Now we're set for clock. To the pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our clerk is not here tonight, he's in the hospital, so I would like to appoint our attorney to fill in tonight and take minutes.
I would be happy to do that, just for the purposes of the minutes, if I can get a first to that motion.
Oh, okay. I'd like to make a motion to appoint our attorney as the
Recording secretary.
recording secretary for this evening.
I'll second.
Second it. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay.
None being heard. With that said, I'd like to take roll call. Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakestraw?
Yes.
Supervisor Adams?
Yes.
Trustee Veer?
Yes.
Trustee Wojciechowski?
Yes.
All present.
Okay. All right, public comment. I only have 3 on the sheet here. Jamie Ross.
I'll call for a public comment first.
I'm sorry, what?
What did he say?
Any public comment?
Yes. Do you want to say any
No,
public
she's on the phone.
Any public
She's
comment?
trying to, just a second.
Oh, she's doing the calling?
I'll call for public comment. Okay, correct, we have no public comment at this time.
Okay. And in-house, Jamie Ross.
Jamie Rouse,
Ross.
McHenry. 66 days. There are 66 days left until May 17th, 2021, the third Monday of May. 66 days left until your reign of terror is over. 66 days until your faces and your voices fade into obscurity, and the only reference that you will be is those 8 old trustees from a few years back. Stan, I regret that you unfortunately will have to be lumped in with these other a-holes. 66 days until we start to rebuild everything you have tried to tear down. None of what you worked for will last or be kept. You will have no legacy when it comes to the township of McHenry. Of course, I am not naive enough to think you will go quietly. Based on the agenda tonight, you'll be complete jerks until the last possible moment. You should be ashamed of yourselves, sitting there at every meeting, complaining about too much government and government overreach. Yet look at what you're trying to do tonight. A sign-in sheet for township employees? You are not responsible for personnel. That is the responsibility of the supervisor, assessor, and the road commissioner. You're trying to add another level of bureaucracy. And what are you going to do to the clerk? He's an elected official, and you had no right, no responsibility to judge him for his work. That is for the people to decide, since the people elected him. And we will decide. 66 days. And speaking of being elected, I hate to tell you guys this, but you were not elected. The R after your name was elected. How do I know this? Well, are any of you running as independents this election cycle? No, because you know you won't win. Are you on the ballots as Republicans? No, because the very political party you claim to represent did not want you representing them. They made sure you could not game the system this year. You do not speak for the people of this township, and you never will again. 66 days. In fact, you do not even represent any sort of responsible government. Your behavior at meetings is reprehensible. Badgering members of the township board like they're on trial, callously grouping everyone against you in an evil democratic mob, and acting like all the workings of the township need to go through you. Read the code. You are auditors, not policymakers. You sounded so childish, demanding what you did that you didn't know about the electors meeting next week before it was published. Did you call each and every one of us before you scheduled your special board meeting last week? And the rest of you up there at the head tables, do your job. Don't let these 3 goad you into some sort of pissing contest. Don't answer their ridiculous questions. Call them out or silence them on their insane claims. And for Pete's sake, don't let them use this meeting as their own personal soapbox. I cannot wait for this whole board to be reborn. 66 days.
Okay, thank you. Robert Beltran?
Robert Beltran, 2014 Redner Road, McHenry, Illinois, McHenry Township. I'd like to speak to a few things this board has been telling the public over and over for the past 4 years. You keep telling us you are elected with a mandate to lower taxes, eliminate services, eliminate the road district, eliminate bus service, and eliminate the township. However, 3 of you were elected. 1 of you was appointed. Appointment does not suggest voter approval of you or your special agenda. Every one of you who were elected by a minority of the votes. That means a majority of the voters, and I'm speaking of the trustees here. Majority of the voters preferred another candidate to you. No, you did not have a mandate. May I please pause while one of the trustees to whom I'm speaking is no longer here?
No, you have to go on, sorry.
Well, he's the subject of much of this. You did campaign, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, you did not have a mandate. A minority victory does not mean you have a mandate. You did campaign on a platform of reducing taxes. 3 of you never told the voters you intended to eliminate the buses, to chop salaries, or eliminate the road district, or eliminate the township. You had a hidden agenda. Very few of those who did vote for you included members of this audience, some of whom that regularly appears here, some of whom were even on your own electoral slate that would have done so, not have done so knowing this agenda. 3 of you have repeatedly discounted the resolutions of the public expressed in special meetings and the overwhelming results of the public referenda telling you we want to continue key services and keep our road district and properly compensate our officials. You claim that none of those election referenda or special meetings reflect the true public opinion, but one of you continues to insist that the validation of your own opinions you receive from your barber chair customers to whom you have a razor at their throats fairly represents the broad swath of public opinion. You claim we are all employees, relatives of employees, or otherwise personally indentured to the highway commissioner. Hardly. The vast majority of us have only the public interest at heart. At least one of you has repeatedly impugned the voting public at these meetings as Marxists, communists, Antifa, anarchists, or the peanut gallery, and, heaven forbid, as Democrats. Meanwhile, we are mostly Republicans, and yes, a few Democrats and independents, no Antifa, Marxists, or anarchists. I think you got the drift. Thank you.
Hey, Robert, did he walk out during your last meeting too?
Okay. Linda Toller?
Oh man, if you could read my lips.
Will you please direct the few people here not to talk out of turn? You should be able to control this side of the meeting.
Steve, I'll control the meeting. All right, go ahead.
I'm curious about this whistleblower's reward for waste and corruption. Where would I go to report you 3? Or is it only for you to wave as a stick against those you don't like because you can't control them? The sign-in book, I'm assuming it'll be online, or else you're just wasting more of everyone's time. There are multiple levels of the township government, so people can be human and get sick, and things will still be taken care of. And it is your job as trustees, to know what is happening in your township. It is part of the job. Admonishing the clerk every time you fail to pay attention just makes you look petty and weak. It is painfully clear to everyone in this room that you three don't actually know what your job is. It is not to be gods or dictators. It is not to push your own agendas. It is not to berate and ignore those you swore to represent. It simply isn't. Mr. Anderson, I really wish you'd understand that we don't want what you're offering. We've done our research. The savings are small and temporary. It is not worth it for what we'd be losing. Mr. Beer, I really wish you'd take a moment to really listen to yourself. All the attacks you make on everyone who doesn't agree with you. If your only response is insults and pettiness, perhaps you should take a real, long, hard look at your own beliefs. You are also threatened every time we, the electors, do anything against your wishes. You are so angry that we have any power. What you all fail to realize is the anger and frustration you feel right now is the same thing we feel every meeting. When the three of you, just three, less than 2/3, go against everything we've said and do whatever you want. It's a complete lack of empathy. And that is why this government is failing currently. That is not the way a democracy works. It's not how a republic works. And unfortunately for you three, this is not, was not, and will never be a dictatorship. Maybe next time you should actually read the job description before you fake and lie your way into it.
Okay, I have no other public comment at this time? Is that correct? Okay. Moving on, review of the McHenry Township Board minutes meeting on February
I'm
11th.
leaving, guys, 'cause my time is more valuable than
Then you're
listening to them,
back.
so I'll see you guys later.
Did I miss some?
Here.
Yeah, the minutes, that's what I said. On February 11th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay. We have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, first and second. Any discussion? Okay. None being heard, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beer?
No.
And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay. Minutes pass. Then, gentlemen, we have, we never went over these. These were the emergency minutes back in December 24th when you called that meeting. These were taken by the attorney because the clerk was not here, if you recall. So we're looking at approving those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes also.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any discussion? Okay, none being heard, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard?
Yes.
And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay. Moving down the line. Motion approval for receipts and bills for the town fund.
We, the undersigned members of the McHenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 11th day of March 2021 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorized payments of same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $577.56. Total bills to be approved, $7,728.68. Total bills paid prior to audit, $50,040.44. Total to be approved, $58,346.68. Total receipts, $8,653.52. I move to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the town fund.
Second it. I'll
second it.
Okay, Mr. Rakestraw, second it. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beer? And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay. Next, motion receipts for the general road and bridge fund.
General Road and Bridge.
Total reimbursements to be approved, $0. Total bills to be approved, $108,634.62. Total bills paid prior to audit, $18,709.13. Total to be approved, $127,343.75. I make a motion that we accept the receipts and pay the bills for the General Road and Bridge.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first and second, any discussion? None being heard, Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Rachel.
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard.
Yes.
And Mr. Wojciechowski.
Yes.
Okay. Motion receipts and bills for the Permanent Harbor Road Fund.
Total reimbursements to be approved, $0. Total bills to be approved, $4,571.92. Total bills paid prior to audit, $17,423.05. Total to be approved, $21,994.97. Total receipts, $183,466.69. I'll make a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes.
Yes?
It seems you're way over budget on the salaries.
You'd have to ask the road commissioner about that, I don't know.
Well, does this mean more people were hired, or everybody got raises, or what?
No more people were hired.
Well, as of February, it's $83,700 over budget with another month to go. So I'd like an explanation for that.
I think you're gonna have to email the road commissioner and ask him about it.
Or you're gonna do what you did last time and send them an email? That's a question of the board.
You know what, I'm not gonna do that. I think you should just send him an email directly. Why don't we do that way?
I noticed he never really answered the one you sent.
What do you mean? I thought he answered it.
The question was, is he obtaining any money from other governmental entities, personally or any entity he controls? And his reply was, I don't know if I have. Okay, so I don't really regard that as an answer.
Well, then I suggest you email him and ask him directly what you're looking for. Any other discussion?
No, we're not gonna get around it that easily. You're the treasurer, are you not?
I am.
Of the road district?
I am.
So what's the explanation?
All I did was, whoever on his payroll is getting paid what they're supposed to be getting paid, okay? You'd have to ask him why that particular line item is the way it is.
I'm asking you, the treasurer, why is it?
He might be low on another line item somewhere else. I don't know.
Whether he's low on other things, it doesn't really matter. This was all done at his behest, that amount. Now I'm interested to know why we're so over budget. And it looks like it'll even be more over budget by the end of the fiscal year. I think the board is entitled to an explanation for that.
Steve, as I said, we're going to have to consult the road commissioner to find out why that is.
So you're abdicating your responsibility as the treasurer?
No, I'm just saying that nothing was done that was, there's not been nobody else hired, there's been no other things going on, so.
Well, then what's the explanation?
You have to talk to the road commissioner. I don't have the explanation, Steve. I do everything I wasn't supposed to do.
Well, how closely do you look what's going on?
Closely, there's nothing.
Doesn't this stand out to you?
I did notice it.
And what action did you take?
I'm going to ask the road commissioner about it. I haven't got to it yet.
Okay, that's all I'm asking, and then you relay his answer to us.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Any other discussion about that?
Does this question bring us around to the point that perhaps we should put this off for a month? so that we can get the answer before we vote?
No, I don't think so. I think it doesn't put it off. We'll get an answer from them.
We hope to get an answer from them.
On that particular question, I will email them and ask them to email you.
Because the overtime doesn't account for it. That's quite under budget. Okay?
Right.
So I can't figure out why that's so. From this little balance sheet.
Maybe it's posted to the wrong, we'll find out, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, so let's have there's no further discussion, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes?
Mr. Raystrom?
Present.
Mr. Anderson, yes. Mr. Bird?
President.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Okay, we have 3 yeses. Okay, moving on now to new business. As I told you before, they're going to have the 2020 annual meeting right before the 2021 annual meetings due to COVID. And they physically have to be present at annual meeting. They can't call in because they wouldn't know where they're from. You couldn't prove where they're from, see what I'm saying? So they wouldn't be able to do that. So, the first thing is, we've already approved this, that was supposed to go on before the first one, approval of 2020 annual meeting, continuation date, change in time. It's just being continued because we couldn't have it last year till April 13th, 2021 at 6:15 p.m. So I'm just looking for to approve that change.
I'm sorry, what's the change?
Instead of having it last April, when we should have had it, we're changing it to this April because of COVID. We couldn't have it because of COVID at the time. And not until recently did the governor make an executive order that can do it for business and townships, or not townships and government.
The only problem you'd have with the time frame would be if you just try to have the meeting before 6 o'clock, is that correct?
That is correct.
So at 6:15, it's not a problem.
No, it's not a problem. So if there's no further discussion, I'm just looking for a...
Well, where's the new business? There isn't any?
We already approved that.
Then why isn't it on here?
What do you mean?
On the notice of the annual town meeting. Item 16, new business, nothing. 17, old business, nothing.
Oh, I understand what you're talking about.
Page 2.
Page 2, yeah.
We're supposed to approve this, right?
We're just approving the change of the date, that's all.
And what had it been?
It would have been last April, the 3rd Tuesday last April, but we couldn't do it because of COVID.
How is it that 3/4 of the townships in Illinois did have a...
Because I'm sure a lot of those townships probably had very few people at their annual meeting and didn't expect a lot of people. So that's why they could do it.
Well, they had them all in Lake County. Every single one of the townships had it.
I can't answer that question. I don't know how they did it. If there had a lot of people there. Maybe they just did it and weren't paying attention to the orders. I don't know.
That's all after the fact, we can't change that.
Right. If you remember, our attorney was keeping us up to date as to when that could happen. So we're just looking for the date is all the change.
I make a motion to approve the continuation of the 2020 annual meeting.
Okay.
Well, my question is this notice even valid if it doesn't have anything in it for business, new business or old business?
The agenda's been,
That's the new agenda, that's not the.
this
2020
agenda that's in the packet is the 2021,
It's for the next
for the
agenda
next,
item.
That's-
next item B.
That's the next item.
And to my knowledge, there's been nothing brought to this board as far as being put on the agenda for the annual meeting for 2021.
The 2020 is
No,
posted on the website.
You are correct.
Right, the 2020 is on the website. What I'm talking about is item B, which is the next item, which is what Steve's referring to as in the
Correct,
packet.
that's the new one.
That's the new one, but there's no additional items that have been added as a result
No.
of electors asking it to be put on, nor do I know of any trustees asking for an item to be put on. So that, in answer to Steve's question, that's why there's literally nothing in 17 and 16 on page 2 regarding business. So there's no business.
Right, that's the next item.
Okay.
Oh, that's your comment. That's the next,
That's
that's
what
the
he's
next
talking
item,
about.
Steve,
Yes.
okay? So on item A, we need to take a vote now. We've had a discussion.
So what's the point of them?
Just changing the date so that we,
I know, but what's the point of even having the meeting if there's no business to conduct?
You're required to have an annual meeting.
you're required to,
Yeah, you're supposed to have it in the calendar year, it is, okay, we've moved beyond 2020.
True. And now, the 2021, still there's certain requirements of acknowledgement of the funds, reading of the minutes, the prior year's minutes. So items 1 through 15 are items that the clerk and the moderator, whoever's appointed, will go through. If there's no new business or old business, in this case there appears to be none, then I anticipate that their meeting will be very short.
I do too. Isn't it the third Tuesday, Jim, or is it the second Tuesday?
It should be the second Tuesday.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay.
It is the second Tuesday, however, what you're referring to is if, let's say, the governor had taken off the COVID piece back in October, okay, then it would actually be the third Tuesday following
Okay.
the month. So, but that's not the case here at this point.
Okay. So for item A, we're just changing the date from that one, so can we have a vote on that?
You have to, well, first of all, what are we voting on?
Just-
Stan made a motion, nobody seconded, but I think,
Oh,
I think
I'm
you should probably read that A in his motion, shouldn't he?
Yes.
Yes, read A in your motion, Steve.
Are you gonna make if you make the motion, Stan, you should read what the language in A.
Approval of the 2020 annual meeting continuation, date change in time, April 13th, 2021 at 6:15 PM. Discussion, possible action.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
The motion won't be discussed in possible action, it was at 6:15 PM.
You're right, there shouldn't be possible action.
So I'm seconding, but I'm not seconding this, the motion has discussion and possible action in it. Because it should be in the motion.
Well, we had discussion.
But that, you're making a motion.
The action is just to approve, the
Change the
motion
date.
is to set the time at 6:15.
Right, that's all.
That's the only
That's it.
motion.
So that's what I'm seconding.
Okay. We've had discussion, let's have a vote on that. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Raisha?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard?
Yes?
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Steve, that's what we were talking about. Motion approved. Approval of the agenda for the 2021 annual meeting. That's what's in front of you. There is no new or old business. That's not submitted.
The agenda was made by the electors, so there really isn't much we can do with that, right?
No, what happens is, this agenda is before you as a board. What happens is, not less than 15 days before the annual meeting, the township board shall adopt an agenda of the meeting. So if there's something that this board would want to put in addition onto this agenda, you certainly could add to that. But it also gives the electors the opportunity as well to submit items that are within their powers to this board to have it put on. In this particular case, that has not happened. So the electors being able to put something on at this time is done. The question is whether or not this board would like to add anything to it, and if not, then this would be the proposed agenda before the board.
I don't want to add anything to the agenda. So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for the 2021 annual meeting.
I'll be happy to second that motion. Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Who seconded?
Roll call vote, Mr. Anderson.
Yes?
Mr. Rakestraw.
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard.
No.
Mr. Wojciechowski.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're saying that we could have had an agenda proposed ourselves here at this meeting?
What I'm saying is that this board adopts the agenda for the annual meeting. So this agenda is to be adopted by the board. The board can, if there's an agenda item that the board would like to put on this, then you could certainly do that, but it have to be an agenda item where you're having some discussion or something relative to the electors' powers versus it has to be relevant to that annual meeting. And that would go the same actually for the electors. Electors could propose prior. It'd have to be done no later than I think the 1st of March if they're going to propose something. And if it was to be proposed, there would have to be something within, again, the electors' powers in order to propose it.
Okay. Moving on to item C then. Trustee Anderson requests the hourly statement for Township Attorney Jim Militello.
I probably need a little bit of help with my motion, and I hope I can get a second so we at least discuss this issue. And so I'm going to make this motion, and then we get a second, we'll discuss it. So my motion would be, I move the McHenry Township Board of Trustees and the McHenry Township Supervisor increase the hourly fee of $150 presently paid to McHenry Township Attorney Jim Militello in the amount to be determined after board discussion. And this would take effect on April 1, 2021. And the reason that I did not put a dollar amount in there, I do have one in my head, but I'd rather not use that figure until I get a second on the motion and hear some discussion from the board. So could I get a second for this motion?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Militello, were you planning on raising the rate at all, or?
I appreciate the agenda item. That's very kind. I didn't expect this, and I don't anticipate it. I've kept our rates the way they have been, and I continue to honor our rates as they are. So whether this passes or doesn't pass, it was our position that we would still honor our rate as it is and continue to offer the services that we do to the township. So, thank you.
Okay.
How long have you been the attorney for the township?
A long time.
So then, a long time to this long time, wherever that time is. I know you've been here for 4 years since I've been here. When you started, what was your hourly wage at that time?
Maybe 150,
Okay.
125 maybe.
And so I don't know, Craig, you've been as a trustee, I don't know if that's ever been brought up or not, but for my end of it, I will say this publicly, that every time I sent an email, every time I made a phone call, I've always had just a very, very professional reply, very, very timely. When I sit at this meeting for 4 years, we've never had a meeting we had to wait for our attorney to show up. And I don't know, I do not know, I did not go out and do any, say, pricing of other attorneys. I do know that what we pay for the $400 an hour for Mr. Hanlon, but anyway, I do have a second from Steve, I do appreciate that. So, and Craig, I don't have, as a supervisor, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of surprised that this would not come up in discussion from your end of it. And I'm sure that we wouldn't have Mr. Patello here if you were not satisfied with the services.
Well, I'm satisfied with the services, and he's fine with the rate, and I can't see spending more, and the township doesn't have it to spend more if he's not asking for it, so he isn't, so. It's a reasonable fee, very reasonable fee, and we appreciate it, so. I think it's a reasonable fee, and it should stay the same.
If there's no more discussion, I'm going to make a motion with a dollar figure in it. Is there any more discussion at this time?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I could see some kind of an increased amount for in-court time.
Mr. Militello has had to appear in federal court. You'll recall when we had sort of a crazy suit to stop a referendum going to the public. And I believe he's had to appear in other court proceedings. Now, one thing that I'm concerned with is that when we have a township attorney, we have him, in addition to everybody at his firm, or some substitute that can come in, okay? But I can see increasing the amount, particularly for in-court representation.
Okay, Steve, thank you for your opinion. Any other discussion?
Then I'd like to make a motion for a dollar amount.
Okay.
So then I'll go from this. I move that McHenry Township Board of Trustees and the McHenry Township Supervisors increase the hourly fee of $150 by $25 an hour. And that be paid to Township Attorney Jim Militello in the amount of the $25 increase, which would be $175. And it would take effect at April 1st, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second to that motion.
For discussion,
You need a second to that motion.
second.
Okay. I need a second. Okay. Discussion.
I would like to make the comment that Mr. Militello has been here and has done a good job. For the most part, I believe he's had some conflicting opinions regarding some issues that we've had. But I'm going to have to say that my vote is going to be no, not because of anything else other than I've always tried to have a stance of trying to keep costs down and to raise the costs when the attorney himself is not asking for it. I think is not an appropriate thing.
I'd like to agree with you, Mr. Rakestraw. I feel the same way. Okay, let's have any other discussion. Let's have a roll call vote then, I guess.
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
No.
Mr. Adams, no. Mr. Ritter?
It passed me.
You're going to pass. Mr. Rajewski?
Yes.
So we have a tie vote. Okay, moving on. resolution instituting a township reward for whistleblowers, reporting of township waste, corruption, etc., resulting conviction or recoupment of township funds.
Well, I'm sorry, can I have a substitute motion?
Yes, you can. Why not?
Sure.
All right, so I incorporate what Bob said, is to increase to beginning April 1st, and $200 for all in-court time.
Oh, just for in-court time you're talking about.
Right.
Okay, motion by Mr.
And just for your information, $150 an hour is rather unrealistic.
Well, but that's all the attorney's asking for, it's saving the township money, so that's why everyone has to pay more. So he says his status of it. Is there something to that?
Well, then I asked a further question of the supervisor. Are you going to retain Mr. Martello?
I plan on to. I plan on that.
Okay, so that's my motion. Is there a second?
Let me hear it again, Steve. What is your motion?
Beginning April 1st and henceforth, the township attorney's fees will be $150, but with an added amount of $200 for all in-court activity on behalf of the township.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any other discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call. Mr. English?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
No.
Mr. Adams, no. Mr. Baird?
Yes.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Okay, so in-court time will be $200 an hour. Okay. Item D, resolution establishing a township reward for whistleblowers, reporting of township waste, corruption, etc., resulting in conviction or recoupment of the township funds. Discussion and possible action.
Many townships and governmental bodies already have this. It's my agenda item. We can set, in the discussion period, we can set the terms of it, percentages and all that. I think it's a good policy because whistleblowers are typically the only way a lot of things are ever exposed. We know that from WikiLeaks, Illinois leaks, and all kinds of other.
Steve, we need a motion.
So the motion is, as I've read, resolution instituting a township reward for whistleblowers reporting of township waste, corruption, etc., resulting in conviction and or recoupment of township funds.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think we should talk about a certain percentage that the whistleblower would get for the money recouped. And maybe a flat rate for the authorities being alerted to a crime that would actually result in a conviction. So I propose at $1,000.
But what if only $1,000 was the crime?
For the conviction. It really wouldn't matter what the crime is.
I mean, shouldn't it be a percentage is what I'm saying?
I think you're right about the percentage, but that would be the recoupment of what they would get.
Right.
As the actual reward. Because there might not be any money coming back for the reporting and then the ultimate conviction of a crime, then there wouldn't be a reward if we base it on a percentage.
I understand that.
And the recoupment, I don't have any problem with
Well, what's the federal whistleblower? Mr. Milton, do you happen to know that? That was like, well, certain departments have certain amounts, but I think the minimum was 10%, and I think sometimes it goes up to 50% of recouped money back to the organization.
So why don't we do $1,000 reward for information that results in a conviction of a township employee or elected official for any crime, and then a recoupment of 33 1/3% for any monies or restitution that the township receives as a result of the whistleblower's report. And I asked the township attorney to weigh in on that.
I'd be more than happy to. I think we should have it in the form of a resolution, just like we did the last meeting. I'd have a resolution for you regarding this. The only thing that I'd want to make sure is that that we don't run afoul in any of the language in the resolution that could otherwise be interpreted with regard to the township code under 85-45, where it talks about services relative to an employee or an officer of the township and collecting and receiving money from it. So the only thing is I'd want to make sure that we tie the Whistleblower Act and we don't run afoul of that, but I'd be more than happy to put together the resolution, get it to everybody in advance so that you can have it adopted at the next meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
Under what you're saying, yes.
So that item will be withdrawn for the time being, and it will appear on the next agenda for the April meeting.
Okay, fine. So we're going to withdraw it for now. Item E, resolution requiring a simple tenant sign-in book for all township salary hourly employees, elected officials, non-creating township road commissioner, road district employees.
John, we already have timesheets here. Everybody turns them in, I look them over. I know they're here, I know they're not here. And we really think they're in office. So I don't see the need for this. If you want to look at timesheets sometime, you're welcome to look at them.
Well, this is the first time hearing about timesheets.
We've always had timesheets.
I know, but it's the first time the board has ever.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So I guess I don't see the necessity.
Well, you don't have an offer for supervisors, go take a look at it if you want.
What's that?
You just, if someone wants to take a look at that, you just said, you made the offer, any trustee could take a look at it, right?
You can come look at them, they've been here since before my time. I think they've always been here. Okay. So
Good enough for me.
Well, who does this apply to?
it applies to everybody.
The elected officials and the employees?
It applies to me, I'm turning the timesheet. I don't know that the assessor does.
Well, maybe the assessor should.
I could ask the assessor to do so.
No, there's no asking.
I can't force an elected official to turn in.
You're looking at an elected official as opposed to employees, Steve, and I'm not so sure you can get that.
I can't force an elected official to do that.
Of course we can. We set the policy. Do you have a sign-in sheet?
I don't, Mr. Anton, can you remember?
The township has the ability under 100-5 to set policy and employee and fixed compensation for the employees and do those things that are necessary. The only issue is that she's an elected official and there is an exclusion for the township assessor, the town collector, and the supervisor of general assistance. So even though the board may pass something that affects her, it may not be enforceable against her as far as time-keeping purposes.
Well, it would certainly be enforceable as to her employees.
It is, and her things to pensions.
Where are these kept?
They're kept in full keeps on the line after they're taken care of.
And how long are they retained?
5 to probably 7 years, I guess, would be my guess. I'm just guessing on that, I know it's a number of years to maintain. I don't know if it's 7, if it has to be 7 for the, like with the IRS, or if it only has to be 5.
Township records have to be maintained, minutes, ordinances, in other township, unless we get released from.
Right, and we haven't.
We haven't done that in quite a while. That's something we're proud of doing, sure.
So in answer to the question, it should be maintained until it be released from the department.
So therefore, I don't see a need for the resolutions. Can we move on to item F?
Well, then, after this meeting, can I go with you, we'll see what records you have?
I don't know if we can get them today, Steve, because they're probably locked up. But I mean, if you want to come in anytime during the day.
All right, then how about at the next
Oh, you want me to
meeting?
bring some time sheets?
Yeah.
Okay. It's fair enough.
I mean, I wouldn't even put this on the agenda if I knew about the existence of these things.
Oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, we've always had time sheets.
Okay, moving to F. A resolution establishing provisional return of keys or entry cards for access to township facilities by the incoming set of township trustees. Discussion and possible action.
I guess Steve would like an explanation of what you're looking for there. I don't understand.
Well, it's totally at the trustees' discretion if they want
Make a
it.
motion first.
I'm sorry. Steve, you made a motion to that?
A motion
Okay.
that these things be available to the incoming set of trustees.
Could we have a second to that motion?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, discussion. At one time, township trustees had access to the entire building. There was a trustee at some point in time that was believed to have stolen documents. So that's why, but we could give key cards to get them in the door to get them into the hall.
Well, we're now in the modern age when people have cards that identify who the person is. Okay?
Right, but it would be limited because trustees don't need to have, it would be limited to the times you have meetings, et cetera, here, or are you welcome to come in the office? When we're open, so.
Well, I think the trustees should have full access to all the facilities.
I disagree with that.
Thank you, Bob.
I
don't want anything
for myself as a trustee, Steve,
Well, then you don't have to have.
I don't see any reason for myself. as
This
a
isn't a
trustee.
mandatory situation.
And any kind of entry into the buildings, any of these buildings here.
And I guess why would we leave this up to the 2021 trustees if they want to bring this up?
Because they have the option of getting it based on our action here. We weren't allowed to do it.
But anytime you wanted access or anything,
Yeah, we're just,
questions.
the trustees are elected just like the other elected officials. Okay.
Did anybody ever deny you access to
Yes.
any records or
Yes.
documents?
Yes. Many times. Okay.
I find that unbelievable.
I find it unbelievable that you don't look at any of the checks or any of the documentation.
I've sat here at every meeting.
Okay.
I'm talking about the past.
Nobody ever, I never remember anybody denying you anything that you wanted to know.
There are dozens of questions that have never been answered, okay? I've asked for all kinds of records that have never been produced. Where do you want me to start?
Okay,
On the tree cutting exploits of the road district commissioner?
let's not go there. Now we're getting off topic there. Okay.
No, it isn't off topic,
Let's talk about the resolution.
Well,
So we had a
Mr.
first-
Anderson already decided he doesn't like it, and I don't like it either, so
Okay.
it's been seconded, let's vote on it.
Okay, let's take a vote. Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Could you come back to me? I still like to think about it a little bit.
Mr. Adams, no. Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Mr. Wazowski?
No.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Okay, we have 3 no's, I believe, so. Resolution is, that particular item is not passed. Resolution establishing a firm procedure for notifying township trustees the supervisor extended unavailability, sickness, or other absence for township meetings or regular township business. Discussion and possible action.
We want a motion first.
I need a motion.
It's my motion.
Okay, Steve's making the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Gentlemen, I've had 2 times I know that I've been.
No, this isn't really directed at you, Craig, so I don't want you to think that this is.
Oh,
It's just directed in the future.
Oh, okay. I thought it was directed at me because of my couple of illnesses that I had.
Well, that's what brought it. The reason why I put this on the agenda is because quite a few times we didn't know that that you weren't going to be here until the day of the meeting, until the actual meeting. So nobody could prepare to be the chairman and all the rest of it.
Sure, I understand.
And I think if you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, the trustee should be notified.
Sure, and I will make sure you are in the future. I think you knew about the first time, right, didn't you?
No, I think we found out.
3 weeks later.
We found out just before the meeting that you weren't going to be here.
When I saw that,
Yeah.
Oh.
The second time, definitely, we had no idea that you were even sick until we got into it.
okay. I will make sure that either I email you or I will have Debbie email you that if I'm going to have an extended sick period.
Well, I mean, an established procedure in the future.
Sure.
For the next incoming set.
Okay.
And I totally agree with that, Craig, because as I turned out to be the one that was taking care of those meetings when you were gone, that I would have been much more comfortable if I had time to plan for it before I got here.
I totally understand.
So-
I thought you were aware of the first time, but.
No, I never was.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's my mistake.
What's, it's not a mistake, it's an oversight.
Oversight. It's my oversight.
On purpose, but it would be a good thing to,
Okay,
to move forward to do that.
I have no problems with that.
May I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
If you're gonna have this procedure, why not extend it to the township trustees?
That would be a very good idea, I guess, Dan, now that I think about it.
Well, the running of the township is supposedly a full-time job, okay?
Or aren't we part of it?
No, we're not. We're just here on a per diem basis, okay? So if the supervisor's gonna be out for a month,
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
yeah, that's fine. It's common courtesy. Okay, I've been at every meeting, so there hasn't been an opportunity for me to call in, and I wasn't gonna be there.
No, but I understand, Steve, but I think it should apply, if it applies to the supervisor, it shouldn't apply to the trustees too, just so we know if you're gonna be here or not.
I agree, because certainly you need a quorum, so if you're gonna run a meeting,
Right, because that could
I
stop.
do know that we operate that way at the school board. I never thought about it here though, but if you don't have 3 people, you can't do business, so I would not have any problem having that the trustees would call in if they can't make a meeting too.
Right, and they would do that ahead of time.
Well, isn't there a question for Mr. Militello? If there are regularly established meetings, okay, the board just can't call it off because 3 people are gonna be gone. It still has to occur, doesn't it?
You need a quorum in order to have a meeting.
To do business, yeah.
In order to do the business. Now, this board, there's a section within the township code that allows you to have established rules for conducting your meeting. So essentially what you're doing right now is creating a rule that says if prior to us having the meeting and we're not able to have enough people, then we're just going to call off the meeting just so that you can put a notice out there so you don't have a bunch of people showing up here and you know they're not gonna have a meeting anyways. So, you're talking about a method by which you're gonna cancel a meeting if you don't have enough people.
Well, I think you're also talking about a courtesy though.
Yes.
Yes, that's fine, but the supervisor, the one who's supposed to be running the township on a day-to-day basis, is in a little different situation. The trustees are just accountable for that one day of the month. But I think the trustees should be notified if, in fact, the supervisor is going to be gone for an appreciable amount of time.
No, Stephen, I don't disagree with that, but I think common courtesy, the trustees should also do the same.
Well, for the meetings. But
Right, that's what I'm saying.
all right, so if the supervisor is going to be gone for, sick or gone for 2 weeks, then the trustee should be notified about it.
But what happens if the supervisor's gone and a couple of trustees are sick, then the people show up and there's, and you can't have a meeting?
The trustees are only important when the meeting, on the meeting dates.
Well, that's what
Okay,
we're talking
there's
about.
no business for the township
That's
that
what
is
we're
run
talking
to
about.
the trustees
Meeting.
unless it's at the meeting. Fine, but I just don't want it to apply to the meeting days. Because with the supervisor, it should be a generalized situation if he's not going to be there. For a week or more absence. And that's fine, that the trustees be added to it, if they know they're not going to be in attendance at a scheduled meeting. They should notify the supervisor
Okay.
as soon as they find out that they can't be there. So it's actually two different rules then.
Could that be incorporated all in one resolution? Jim?
It can, and what I would propose is again, bring this resolution back in a formal, resolution form to the board, incorporating both of those, statements, and setting out the statute that allows for that authority.
First, I guess we've had first and second, I guess we should have a vote to make sure if we even want to make a resolution. Mr. Anderson?
And what is it? I mean,
We're just asking if we would want this resolution.
No, we just have a resolution drawn up.
Right,
And we're going to vote on it later on.
Right,
Is that what you're
For
saying?
next
So we know
month.
exactly what we're voting on?
You're talking about,
right, for
right?
the next meeting.
So
I
having
agree
this
with that.
reworded so that when it comes back, it's in the form that we need to vote on,
Right,
and that would be next month.
right,
Okay.
I'm yes with that.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Adams, yes, Mr. Veer,
Yes.
and Mr. Wojciechowski.
We're talking about the resolution as it's written right now?
No, we're gonna have the trustees on it. For,
You're gonna have trustees.
right.
Okay,
And it could be changed then, Stan.
okay, yes.
Okay, let's move on. H, resolution establishing a permanent procedure for notifying township trustees of agenda, petition notices, etc., of annual or special electors meetings.
Before it's sent out.
Okay.
I mean, it's just common sense to me.
Need a motion?
Can I streamline that one?
Yes.
Can I add this, can I
Yes.
add this into the other resolution? So it's all one resolution?
You can add that.
That's my point, is H and I seem the same to me. Both resolutions pertain to each other.
Well, the rules for the functioning of the board.
Yeah, I'm gonna combine G and H.
Not H and I. Correct? Not H and I?
I'm gonna leave I for now until,
Yeah, I'm saying, because Stan just said H and I.
no, just G and H.
Yeah, isn't that where we're at now, H?
We're on H.
Yeah, well, if you look at H and you look at I, they're the same,
No,
they're
No,
the same agenda.
no, they're not.
not at all.
No, they're-
Jim's talking about combining G and H.
Yes.
No, I was gonna combine H and I.
Okay, so Jim will bring that back to the next meeting then?
Yes.
Okay. To letter I. Mayor of the clerk's failure to consult with or even apprise the township attorney of the clerk's recent promulgation of certain March 2021 letters, set special meeting before said proclamation was initiated.
Isn't that the same thing as H with different wording? I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make here.
No. Well, the motion, can I have a second for discussion?
Second.
All right. I just requires the clerk to run past the attorney before the thing is sent out to the public, for public promulgation. That was not done. The attorney found a mistake. And we're trying to obviate these kinds of mistakes.
Well, it must have been sent to the attorney found a mistake before it was published, so.
Yeah, but it was already sent out to be published before it was sent to the attorney.
When did you receive that, Mr. Milton, do you remember?
Friday, he said.
Yeah, I talked to Debbie about it on Friday. Evidently, he sent it to Debbie, and he sent it to the paper to get it moving. He did have conversation with the paper after Debbie had talked to him about what we had talked about. So there was time there in order for them to have discussions.
There happened to be time there.
Right, so there was in that case.
It's just a way to catch things.
Sure, so it should
You have an independent person look at it, see if the thing is even legal.
Sure, so it needs to be the attorney first, is what you're saying, right, Steve?
Right, not the board or anything like that.
Okay. I think that's fair enough.
That's what business should be handled.
Right.
Okay.
So will that also be another rule for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Can we move on, John? We're done with all this? Okay. Let's look at our old business. Mr. Miltel wrote a couple of RFPs here for auditor and accounting services. When I saw these, I noticed, first of all, we need to go through these in-house here first before we do anything with them. In terms of accounting services, I think there's a misunderstanding here. The accountant only does very few things for us. It's not like it's an outside accounting agency doing all our accounting. That does happen in some townships, okay? But there's way too many things on here. I need to go through it with all the office staff.
I don't have no problem with that.
Could,
Then we can discuss it next meeting?
we can, and to be honest with you, John, I don't even realize, I agree with the auditors, okay, because that could be a lot of money, okay? But in terms of accounting, we're not doing that darn much. I don't even know if it's worth bidding, if you know what I'm saying. She only comes in maybe twice a year, you know? So, I guess as a supervisor, I'm saying I don't see a need to bid that one. That one's not that much money, okay?
I don't know what Steve's got to say. We put that in there.
It's a matter of changing it every so often too.
But I think what they're talking about there, Steve, is some accountant that's doing the day-to-day books. That's not occurring here. There's nothing that the accountant only helps with 1099s, W-2s, and making adjustments at year end. That's it. I mean, we're not doing anything extravagant. Okay? We do all our own in-house account. It's all balanced in-house. Everything's done in-house. So.
So anyways, so can we go back through these with our staff first, and then bring them back to the next meeting?
Come back with a recommendation from your staff.
Right. Okay.
Well, maybe to save time, after you do that, you can talk to Mr. Militello.
You know, I do plan to do that, I'm sorry. I didn't say that.
So, old business A, we're going to wait until next month to do.
Correct, because it has to be, what's in there is incorrect. Okay.
As I said, the accountant, this proposal's got an accountant doing all of our books, okay? Understand what I'm saying? It could be all done outside somehow. And so,
Greg is saying because all that work right here.
we're doing all right here, that's why I don't see,
Send out
I
paper.
don't see a purpose in the accountant, because the accountant isn't influencing anything here. But the auditing firm, I would agree. And this is for next year, we're already in the process of this year. Okay? Okay, now we're on to review the resolutions. There's two resolutions that Mr. Martel has prepared. And if you give me a second, I can put a number on these, I guess.
Well, the resolution numbers can be determined later because of the clerk's absence and how he numbers things. But we can vote on it now, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I guess if you want to add the numbers later, that's fine. I mean,
All right, these are originally my proposals, and I think they've been excellently reduced to a resolution by the township attorney. And I subscribe to them. Both of them involve public transparency. Part of it is so that if somebody sees something that isn't quite correct, or we're paying out more than we should on a certain contract, because of the public posting, somebody can come in and say, wait a minute, I can do that twice for half as much and twice as fast. It's just so that the people can see where the money's going. A lot of municipalities are doing this. Townships, they're always behind. But we can be a forerunner, an example for the remaining townships in Illinois by having this.
okay, so you made the first two motions, Steve, I take it?
Second.
Second, we're looking at
About the intergovernmental agreements first.
wait, we should do the intergovernmental agreements first, I'm sorry. That's what's on the agenda. Okay, intergovernmental agreements, so.
So should it be read into the record? Or we can waive it?
You can waive it, it's been already in the, it's in the board packet and on the website, so you can waive it, or if you want for purposes of the minutes, you can read into it, if you would like to.
Or we can have the clerk
Yes,
put these in the minutes and waive the reading of them now.
that's correct.
So I suggest we do that and just vote on it.
I'd like to know what they are.
Oh, they were in the, okay. I will read this one. Public transparency and intergovernmental agreements from McHenry Township. Whereas McHenry Township is an Illinois township created pursuant to Illinois Township Code. Whereas the Constitution of the State of Illinois, 1970, Article Article 7, Section 10 authorizes units of government to contract or otherwise associate themselves in a manner not prohibited by law or ordinance. entitled intergovernmental cooperation, provide that any powers, privileges, or authority exercised may be exercised by the local government exercised jointly with any other unit of local government. Provides that any one or more public agencies may contract with one or more public agencies to perform any governmental service activities undertaking which any of the public agencies entering the contract is authorized by law to perform. Provide that such contract shall be authorized by the governing body of each party of the contract. Whereas the McHenry Township Board is in the interest of public transparency, desires to have intergovernmental agreements posted for public inspection at least 30 days on the township website and a copy posted at Township Hall prior to the adoption by the Township Board. Now therefore be it resolved by the McHenry Township Board that any intergovernmental agreements proposed to be approved by the Township Board shall be posted for public inspection at least 30 days on the Township website and a copy posted at the Township Hall prior to adoption by the Board.
That's what we're voting on. So I think we've had a first and a second, have we?
Yes.
I guess, okay. So, Tom, you want to say something?
Yes. So what you're saying is all these intergovernmental agreements that the board is going to approve, is that what you're saying?
And it only applies to the township, it wouldn't apply to the roads. It would only apply to the township, not the road.
Right, not the road district. So let's make that clear.
Yeah, we would. And the township pays on the road.
Correct.
So, don't plan on having any of this.
So why are we even having it if we don't have any? Why do we need this?
That's my question.
Disclose if it ever came out.
Because if they're gonna go back to doing other townships, general assistance, that has to be publicly presented. Or any other thing.
It would also apply, if you would have remembered at one time, one of the chiefs from the fire districts were here putting together an intergovernmental agreement between the township and other bodies
I
regarding.
remember that.
Regarding some sirens, I believe.
That's what it was, for tornado warning.
Correct. So again, that would be an IGA, which would then fall under this document.
Well done. Yes.
Okay.
So the first second, so we vote then. It's Bob?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Evans, yes. Mr. Bird?
Yes?
Mr. Wojcicki?
No.
Okay.
Public transparency of service agreements. McHenry Township, Illinois Township created pursuant to the Illinois Township Code, whereas section 80-10D of the Township Code, 60 ILCS 180/10 authorizes the McHenry Township Board to adopt rules non-inconsistent with Township Code to govern its meetings. Whereas section 85-10D of the Township Code, in parentheses 60 ILCS 1/8510 authorizes the Township Board to make all contacts necessary and exercise of the Township powers. Township Board in the interest of public desires the Township service agreements for amounts over $2,000 to be posted for public inspection at least 15 days on the Township website and a copy posted at the Township Hall prior to adoption by the Township Board. Now therefore be resolved by the Township Board that any Township service agreements in the amount of over $2,000 be posted for public inspection at least 15 days in the Township website, a copy posted at the Township Hall prior to adoption. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so,
No motion to approve this resolution.
okay, Steve has a motion approved, second?
Second.
Okay, let's have a roll. Any other further discussion?
I have discussion.
Okay,
I feel that hamstrings the road district. What happens if an emergency comes up?
this wouldn't affect the road
The
district.
road district it has no board, we have nothing to do with the road district. That's my big argument with the road district, is the road commissioner operates without a board stand.
Well, so this just in regards to the township?
That is correct. The township has a board, the road district does not.
It gives the public a chance to see what service agreements the township's entering into. So if people want to comment about it at the meeting, they will know what's going on in advance.
Well,
It's perfect public transparency.
can I ask what service agreements we have now that are over $2,000?
Actually, I don't know that we have any.
We, That's where you got the Excalibur agreement.
I'm sorry, the Excalibur agreement, there's another year
You've
contract.
got all these service agreements with the equipment.
Right, but we really, Steve, all we have is our photocopiers to find out that's only $321 a year or something like that. And our Pitney Bowes machine, which is not really a service agreement, it's a rental. Pitney Bowes machine, that's it. I don't think we have anything else.
Well, there are other service agreements. We won't go over it in the budget.
This is still be good policy for the future, you never know what's gonna happen.
No, I understand, but I don't know what other service agreements we have, other than utilities, but those aren't really service agreements, those are. Okay,
Well, we have the service agreements with the medical insurance. Wouldn't that qualify?
is that a service agreement? That's a,
Yeah, there's,
no, that's a contract for, I wouldn't call that a service
Isn't
agreement.
there a thin line between service agreements and contracts? I mean, this muddles the whole issue, I think.
well, I'd like the public to be able to see, if you say there aren't any, then it really wouldn't apply to me.
No, it really doesn't.
But it certainly applies to one thing as it is,
Which is what?
the Excalibur.
Oh, yes, it does apply to that, I agree with you. And then I think has one more year, and then we would have it rebid.
I don't think this harms the board's direction by having this in there, and it protects the public. I see no downside to not at least adopting it, and if there's a circumstance in the future where it would be necessary to have this, it'd be great to have it in place.
Okay. Did we have a first? I don't know if we have a first and a second. We must have.
I have one more question.
Sure.
When you're talking about public transparency, does that mean you have to, before you make any kind of agreement, you have to post it in a newspaper?
No.
What, or stick it on the front door, or how does this work?
Stan, why don't you read the resolution?
No, Stan. So this is only relative to posting it on the website and putting a copy in the hall for amounts that are over 2,000. There's actually, within the township code 85-30, which is where there's services, materials, or equipments that is in excess of $20,000, there's a process for that. And before that happens, it's let the lowest bidder. There's advertising in the newspaper. There's a process for that. It's an advertising process, and that's put out. So this is designed to catch everything between the $2,000 and the $20,000.
I second it when you asked for it.
Okay, you did, okay. Let's have a roll call vote then, if there's no further discussion. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Vera?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
No.
Do we have any proposed agenda items at this time for next month?
Well, we still have the matter of when we're gonna do the budget.
I knew that question would be coming. I'm looking at April 5th, the first Monday in April. I don't know if that's the first Monday, but that would be a Monday.
Are you ready to go now?
No, I'm not.
So what's the problem?
I'm just having a hard time trying to get everything in line here, Steve, but I will be ready to go by April 5th.
Well, isn't it also true that the road commissioner and the assessor has to put the budget together also, right?
Right, the assessor gave me what she would like her budget to be.
Can the board get a copy of that in advance? I mean, I don't understand the incessant delay in this.
It's just a very tough one to put together.
Well, if she's got hers proposed, why don't we start with hers and...
Because you gotta see the whole picture to understand, you know what I'm saying?
Why can't you send us a copy of the proposal from the assessor?
I can.
Where are we at with the road district?
I'll have to talk to them again, I don't know.
Well, have you talked to him at all about it?
Yeah, I asked him when his budget was gonna be prepared, I never really got an answer.
I'm glad you're not the only one.
I have an agenda item.
Let's, I'm sorry.
I have an agenda item, maybe you asked me at a special meeting.
Oh, yeah, you want me to,
But you asked me to email it to you, want me to still do that?
we can still do that.
I'll do that, okay. I'll do it
I
sometime.
don't wanna forget it. I
Okay,
asked.
I'll do it sometime this week. Thank you.
That's for next monthly meeting.
Right.
April 5th at what time?
9:30 a.m., is that okay?
Okay, with me? So are we setting the date right now?
Right.
9:30, April 5th?
April 5th.
And what day is that?
It's a Monday, I believe. I'll
Yes.
check the calendar to make sure I'm not making a mistake here.
You're right, it is Monday. It's Monday.
Okay. All righty, let's move on then. Supervisor's report in the packet. And Steve, you had a question last month on that one. I got the answer to that. Under the hall shelter rental report, you asked me why there was only, there was all these under WHCC. You got that in front of you? I might play in different cases too, where you see, I'm looking at list WHCC. What isn't, the Girl Scouts there isn't, it tells you right there what it is, the Girl Scouts, okay? So these other 1, 2, 3, 4 things here only apply to the other 4 things on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, special events or parties. So that's why, remember we couldn't make the number come out?
Well, yeah, the numbers didn't make any sense.
Right. Can I come over there and show you? Okay, these are Girl Scout meetings. It tells you what they are there, right? All the way across. These 1, 2, 3, 4 items are these 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Okay? I had asked the question too because I didn't know. So the same would be up here. Some of these are constant, but some are only special meetings. So I got the answer to that question. Okay, supervisor reports in the packet. Assessor's report, I think, is that in the packet? I believe so. Okay, Highway Commissioner's report's also in the packet. Any questions on those reports? I can't answer them anyways, probably.
Right, so for February this past year, there were 167 identifiable trips.
Right. The winter months are
Those
always
are not round trips, those are just destination trips.
correct. Well,
So you're talking about approximately 83 or 4 round trips in the course of a month.
correct. It's been very low. It gets very low in the wintertime and starts to pick up. The other problem is the senior center isn't open. I guess they'll probably be waiting for everybody to get their shots before they open. And that's where a great deal of rides come from. So. There's a lot of people that don't come out in the wintertime, I guess I would assume. All right. Okay.
Well, maybe we should be running Ubers or something.
I don't know that it would be cheaper. Okay, assessor's report you got, highway commissioner's report you got. Is there any need for an executive session tonight? Okay, none being heard. Any board member comments tonight? Okay, none being heard, I move to adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 8:30.
I second it.
I'll third it. And
I'll fourth it.
Let's have a roll call vote. Oh, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? None being heard, okay. Meeting is adjourned.
Just a reminder, Debbie had indicated just to make sure everybody signs.
Make sure we sign it
Oh, she
correctly.
said she got it.
I'm in charge of that. No,
Did you sign it, Stan?
she hasn't gotten it. I'm in charge of that.
You're in charge of it, okay.
I'm in charge of
I want to say thank you, Chris, for reading those out for us.
I'm sorry?
I want to say thank you for reading those out for us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I didn't realize you did. Yep, they would have been listed. Everyone have a good evening. Good night.
You want to chase us down tomorrow for signatures?
I will be here tomorrow.
I won't leave you to go with that. Right. What?
Yeah, tennis album.
Oh.
So I gotta get a cortisone shot.
Ouch.
Yeah. 69 months.
Just the needle hurts about that. And they run
things
at
go
your
well.
arm and
If things go well.
If they go well, right, exactly. Yeah, so not too early. Just they release.
This one's done.
Perfect, this one.
check them, make sure you got them all.
Thank you so much.
Turn your mic off, thank.
I appreciate it. What I like. I'm all in. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, and it's funny because I've been, and this one's starting to hurt, so when I was in therapy yesterday, she gave me something to do for that, because I'm basically.
That's the problem with something going, is that big with something else and that.
Well, because I did with my neck and my wrist at the same time, because of it.
Well, we get some rest.
Gotta love it.
Right,
It's
right.
getting older and older.
Yeah, good night.
All right, have a good night, thank you.
Good night.
seen a mic here. Oh, no. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, you know, everyone of course thinks of COVID, but, discounting the COVID deaths, there seems to have been a surge of people in my world that have died.
Oh, we had something, actually a close family friend of mine passed away a couple of months ago. It was a heart failure and liver failure. He was 31 years old.
Wow.
And actually just had one of his friends pass away, heart failure, 33.
Well, yeah, but then, you know, they've also found that a lot of people with heart failure and liver failure and kidney failure and strokes all are really the result of COVID that they didn't even know they had.
Yeah, we testing for the close family friend of Mike's family, and he came back negative for COVID.
Well, yeah, but he may have had COVID months ago.
Yeah, he had no antibodies.
Well, yeah, but the antibodies only last about 90 days.
Yeah, and he may have technically way back when, but he wasn't the healthiest guy anyway. So
Still at that age.
yeah.
And, you know, and in any given particular case, who knows, but it's just that I have my suspicions that a lot of the people who seem to be suddenly dying are, you know, just delayed the effect of COVID.
Yeah, they had long COVID and felt a lot better, but they weren't actually better.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's an article in today's Northwest Herald about lingering effects of COVID. And I haven't read it, I only saw the headline, so I don't know if they go into that, into you know, people dying. But we do know that the number of people, like in October, they had calculated that 1 out of every 4 deaths from presumably other causes were really COVID. You know, at that point, there had been something like 300,000 deaths from heart attack. That normally at that point there were 300,000 deaths, and there were 400,000 already. So, you know, you don't get that huge increase for no reason.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are choosing to ignore the fact that, yes, a lot of people that are dying from things like heart attacks, like pneumonia, but these deaths are being exacerbated.
Whoa.
Right out here.
Yes, you
Where
are.
are you caught up? There we go. These deaths are